To Novidad TV, a Cape Verdean production.
Olá, bem-vindos a mais uma edição de Novidade TV. Meu nome é Nenes. Hoje no Estalipa nos apresenta a terceira parte e parte final de visita do primeiro-ministro de Cabo Verde aos Estados Unidos. Durante esta dia ali, passa para East Providence e para Tucker. E naquela parte final, nós mostramos o que passa lá na CACD. Também naquele se visita a CACD, teve intervenção de Patrick Kennedy. E lá é de algumas palavras para cidadãos cabo-verdianos ali na Pataker e não só, e também umas palavras ao nosso primeiro-ministro. E também durante aquele visita a CACD teve grupo de descendentes cabo-verdianos e americanos também, que teve uma mistura de dança, de cultura cabo-verdiana, batuque, funaná, uma coisa incrível, que também nós sabemos hoje, ali tudo hoje, naquela parte final de nossa apresentação. Depois de que ela também tive, durante a estadia do nosso primeiro-ministro, teve um jantar de gala, então deixamos com algumas das imagens. E que não esqueça, se nós capôs hoje, aquela primeira parte, segunda, e nem aquela parte final, nós podemos visitar novidadetv.com, lá nós está hoje vídeos e também fotos de que se visita. Então deixamos com algumas imagens.
Ok, obrigada. Vocês querem Ok, vamos lá para da presidente e congressman, Patrick Kennedy. Eu queria chegar
We've had the honor of welcoming him many times before, but I think it's always a great honor to have him come back. Especially since there are many islands that are part of the Cape Verde Islands, but we consider Rhode Island one of those many islands. And when you consider the number of Cape Verdeans who live here in Pawtucket and East Providence, there are probably just as many Cape Verdeans in Pawtucket and East Providence as there are in the islands of Fogo and other islands in Cape Verde. So we just want to say to you, Mr. Prime Minister, that in Washington, D.C., I consider myself one of your parliamentarians in Congress because I am working for the many issues that affect Cape Verdeans here in Rhode Island. And I consider it an honor to try to work for the Millennium Fund, which is obviously, we're very excited that Cape Verde has become one of the nations for the Millennium Fund. For those of you who are familiar with Cape Verde, is really selected as one of the nations to receive as a designation the Millennium Fund, which identifies it as a source of funding for infrastructure improvements and investment. Which is really important as one of the African nations really destined to receive great hope for the future in terms of Western and international investment. And I was pleased to join my colleagues in advocating for Cape Verde to become part of the Millennium Fund designees. In addition to that, obviously we've been working for AID, Aid to International Development. And in Cape Verde, that has come in the form of irrigation. There have been new forms of technology that have helped us through agriculture to be able to harvest crops by using very little water. And those are new technologies that have obviously meant a great deal to places like Cape Verde, which obviously needs to have the most of using the fresh water that it does have. And being able to use those new technologies that are provided through AID, they can make the most of their very dry climate and grow crops very, very efficiently. And that has been part of a $40 million AID package that we have been working on, and I'm very pleased to be part of. So these and other things are very important, but I look forward to working with the the Prime Minister, and I see my good friend Harold Metz here, who I had the honor of working with in the General Assembly. And Izzy, I knew, was over there at East Providence, working with the Prime Minister earlier today. But let me just say to all of you, I'm honored to represent you in Congress, and my office is right down the street on Roosevelt Avenue, and if you ever need any help, Jackie DaCosta right here is in my office, and while my Portuguese may not be too good, hers is excellent. Thank you very much.
Linha minha corpo ganho. Lua fica comigo assim, deixa na bucha na mão. Linha minha corpo ganho. Lua fica comigo assim, deixa na bucha na boca.